Hi, my name is Rob Levere, also known as Homemade Spaceship, and I am an Ableton instructor at KMG Life Incorporated, based out of Boulder, Colorado. And I am coming at you with the Keep Music Going video series, coming at you with another tip this week. And this tip is something I wish I knew before I started making bass music. And that tip is to choose a more conducive or viable key when it comes to writing heavy bass music. This has to do with how speakers work and the frequencies that they can represent. In a perfect world with perfect speakers, we could write heavy bass music in any key we wanted. But due to the way that speakers do work and their linearity, as we call it, there are certain keys that are going to be a lot easier to write something in. If you've ever noticed that you go to write a drop of a song and maybe the song is in C minor and you go to play the bass and the bass is so low you can barely not hear it, or it's so high, it almost doesn't seem like sub bass anymore. So this tutorial is going to walk you through which keys are going to be more viable or easier to write heavy bass music in, and the science behind that. So thank you for tuning in. Enjoy.
This week I'm coming at you with just a quick tip that I wish I knew before I started making bass music. And that tip is to choose your key wisely depending on what kind of track you are trying to make. So I noticed a strange phenomena when I loaded all of my songs into Rekordbox or Serato or whatever mixed in key, whatever BPM and key recognizing software you might use to organize tunes. And I had put together what I called my bangers folder, which was all the heavy bass tunes that I like to play, a lot of high energy, super low, heavy, solid tunes. And I noticed one thing is that a lot of them, almost 90% of them, were all in the key of either F minor or around F minor. And I wondered why, obviously, was that just an easy key to play? No, not necessarily. So I looked into it, and you sort of start to realize it's something that you may have noticed before. So part of the reason why a lot of heavy bass tunes are in the key of F minor or E flat, I would say anywhere in the range of E flat to F sharp. You can go down to D. I'm sure people have done it, but try listening to it on something that's not maybe an amazing speaker system or something like that. And I bet those notes just sort of disappear. And that comes down to what we call linearity in speakers. Linearity, all that means is the frequency range in which the speaker can reproduce sounds. So let's look at operator and spectrum right here. So you can say I'm playing a sine wave right now, which is just, of course, one frequency, no harmonic content. And you can see that it's peaking at certain parts, right? But if I go super low here, I'm getting real low. And so if we know anything about human hearing, it is that the human ear on its best day can hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, right? So a perfect speaker system would be just that, right? But they're not all perfect. No one would be able to afford that, I guess. So most speaker systems, I found reproduce somewhere starting at around 40 hertz. Sometimes a little bit lower. Sometimes with subs, you can get super low and stuff like that. But most speaker systems, even in some venues, really cut off around like the 38 hertz mark. So if we listen to that right now, that's about here, C sharp, right? Yeah. So if you've ever noticed, if you ever tried to write something heavy in the key of C, you might notice that your sub bass is either really high and almost not subby, or it's so low that you can almost not hear it anymore. You almost can't hear it because of the linearity, because the speaker system simply can't reproduce it. And like I said, that goes a lot in the same for venues as well. So if we choose F, we found that 42 hertz about, I believe, 44 hertz. F is a very safe space that sounds solid and gets represented on a lot of speaker systems. So it's a safe bet. So if you want to write a heavy tune, you should always try to write in the key of F at least to start. It's totally plausible to write whatever song you want in whatever key. It just might take a little bit of adjustment or knowing what's going on. So I know like a lot of maybe future bass or chord progression driven songs, some house songs and stuff like that. A lot of people really like the key of A because it's kind of centrally located. We can play a lot of different notes and they're all just kind of solid and groovy, right? But just my quick tip for you is if you're trying to write a heavy tune, try writing it in the key of F. I see a lot of people get upset because they wrote a really cool chord progression into a really cool build-up in the key of C minor, and they go to drop the bass, and they can't hear it. So that's just something I wish I knew in advance that I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys are out there making music. Hopefully you guys are out there creating during these times. Let's keep music going. Party on. This has been Homemade Spaceship. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.